Well, we are all missing our visits to the Greensboro Science Center. That's why I have a virtual Greensboro Science Center background behind me. Not really there. Glenn Dovergoes, of course, is the CEO, and we miss seeing you in person, but happy to have you here.
Thank you very much. This is surreal but wonderful.
So tell us what's going on at the Greensboro Science Center behind closed doors.
Well, obviously we had to close our doors. We were seeing record numbers coming through our doors, thousands of people a day. In fact, the month before we had to close, we saw a 37% increase in visitation.
Wow.
So that was a hard pill to swallow, to say the least. But so staff is all doing social distancing. We are in essential staff mode only. So basically our animal keepers are there on a daily basis as if nothing has changed. And they keep the 6 feet apart and all the proper rules. They're using the proper PPEs and all that kind of stuff. So that's happening. And a few of us show up as needed. Like I taped a couple PSAs at the center last week, and I have to go in and sign checks, and I have to go in and do some construction assessments, that kind of thing. But for the most part, there's probably on average 12 to 14 people there each day out of the 100 plus employees that we have. So it's pretty sparse, but I can tell you the animals and the staff are doing great. We're not aware of any sick staff. We're not aware of any sick animals whatsoever. And the animals I think it's odd for them because, they're used to so many people. But I was out there walking last week and they're playing an awful lot. The tigers are having a blast with their balls and just jumping into the pools. The only one that I think is really impacted by this is Duke the Gibbon. Duke was raised partly by people, and he's used to kind of entertaining and standing in front of everybody and doing his shows and just loving the interaction. So he seemed a little bit people-starved when I was out there. But aside from that, everyone's doing great.
Well, that's really good to hear. I'm really glad to hear that. We've seen stories at other zoos about animals doing new things now without people there and really being more free to, I guess, be like animals. And have you seen any indications of that?
Well, we have had 2 baby fishing cat kittens born.
Wow.
And that was actually announced. They're doing great. We're trying to set up a remote camera so that people can see these kittens starting to grow. A little bit harder than you would think because we have to get in there. We don't want to upset mom right now. We are potentially looking at maybe, nothing certain here, our first baby red pandas coming up in May or June. It's a possibility. The FSP breeding program asked us to bring them together for the first time, which we did, and that worked. And so we're fingers crossed we're going to have red pandas this spring. So there's other forms of action going on at the Science Center.
That's really exciting. And I know that we have names now for 2 penguins, 2 baby penguins, right?
Yes, we did the public announcement on that, and they were from the office show, Jim and Dwight.
Yes.
So very, very popular names. I think we received more Facebook hits on that than maybe anything we've ever done before. So that show must be quite popular. And I know that my daughter's age in college, they were all sending the links to John Krasinski, who does this good, positive show, trying to get him to talk about Greensboro and these penguins. We'll see if that happens or not.
That would be great. Yes, he does a show called Some Good News. That's definitely worth checking out.
Okay, and this was very good news for us.
What about there's science on the spot too, where you can actually be a part of things going on at the Science Center during the week?
Yeah, our team is very diligent about that, keeping educational programs flowing out to the public. The week before we actually started full social distancing and basically we all had to leave, our filmography team basically took probably 100, 200 hours worth of footage of all the things going on around, filmed a ton of those spots. And so it was a very intense week from an education standpoint. And now we're starting to put those out on a weekly basis just to keep people engaged, people excited, keep them excited about what's going on at the Science Center. I mean, right now we'd be doing 2,000 kids a day, probably 15 programs a day to these school groups. It just feels so empty. We wanted to keep it going in some form.
Well, and I know particularly the schools and the children who were scheduled to go on field trips to the Science Center are just so sad that that's not happening right now. And so to be able to bring a little bit to them and to the whole community is really a wonderful, wonderful service.
Yeah, it's just, and plus it keeps us busy. I mean, most of us are home now, and we're kind of like, what do we do next? So we're all coming up with all these crazy ideas. It's actually going to be a very good time, because once we all come back together, as we've been thinking about change and transformation over these last few weeks, I think it's going to be a renaissance out there with new ideas, new programs, new initiatives, all that kind of stuff.
I agree. I think that Generation C is going to be not coronavirus, but creativity.
Definitely with our team. I mean, I get the emails almost every day. I got an idea. I got an idea about this or that, and I love it. So while we're home, hopefully enjoying our families and nature, we're still in that creative mode, getting ready to go back to work at some point.
So talk about that going back to work. The Science Center obviously does so many things during the summer, including including just visitors, but then summer camps and programming. What does that look like, and what are you kind of thinking about at this point?
Well, a lot of it, we talk about this almost every day. A lot of it depends on what the governor comes out and says. Is it going to be okay to have 100 people in a space, 200, 1,000? I mean, we're such a unique facility. We've got classrooms, we've got open space, we have an outdoor space. It really kind of depends on what we're allowed to do for the most part, not only from a state level, but also a city level. And so we're looking at all kinds of options. Definitely doing camps if we're allowed to do camps, where those kids are involved and engaged. And those are relatively small groups scattered all throughout the museum. And then maybe just opening the zoo, so people can be outdoors in a space where it's less likely you're going to come into contact with people or surfaces, that kind of thing. Or if we're allowed to go all out, we'll go all out. It's just a tough decision right now. We just don't know. And one of the things we're most concerned about is, we have already engaged a very professional company to do winter wonderlights, which would be this fall, not this summer, but we're talking 42, 43 nights of magnificent light shows and experiences outdoors throughout the museum and outdoors. This is like a $1.6 million investment that, year one wasn't even going to make any money. It was just kind of paying ourselves back, hopefully through the gate. But this would be an annual tradition. Now, with Corona and the potential resurgence of that, we just don't know. And we're looking at options. And we're looking at options there as well, simply because what if we have? Sorry, I have a dog barking here.
That's okay. That's what this
part
is.
Of it. Which is part of it. I don't know what she sees, but there you go. Anyway,
the idea of that not happening either, I think.
So anyway, so with Winter Wonderlights, that's a big unknown as well. So hopefully we'll have that solved, or hopefully we'll be able to bring in the numbers of people we need, and maybe even there'll be drugs or vaccines starting by that. Who knows what's going to happen? Right. But so between the summer and the fall, we are nervous. But I'm sure that's true for every business out there right now. Nobody knows what to expect. We were planning on our biggest year ever, and now we're having to rethink that.
Well, how are you doing?
Personally, I'm doing great. I mean, health-wise, great. Family's great. It's just surreal. Because I'm like, okay, my calendar for the month got wiped out. It was one of the busiest months I think I've ever had, and it's gone. But it still feels good, because not only is staff healthy, animals are healthy. I feel satisfied about that. We are still moving forward on a lot of projects. So one really cool thing we're excited about, and we're talking about with our staff and board, is that once this passes, once we're done with COVID, at least at the levels we're facing right now, that we'll be able to unleash kind of a treasure trove of projects for this community. And what do we need more than anything? People back in our city, in our streets, in our restaurants, enjoying the cultural attractions we offer. We want to be a leader in that. And so between the zoo expansion, which will be opening probably next year, a new treehouse complex, the Carousel project, the Battleground Parks District project, the new Komodo Dragon exhibit outside, which is getting ready to open. All these things and more are going to be ready to kind of spring back to life in Greensboro. And we want to be part of that, because tourism is, one of the top 2 most important economic impacts for the state of North Carolina. Greensboro needs more of that, and we want to help be part of that. So that makes me feel good personally, that we're going to be ready and engaged in helping Greensboro and helping others and everybody involved in that. But again, me personally, no problems there. I mean, I'm just little bored.
Right.
I'm doing a lot more bird watching than I haven't done since college. Certainly eating better, walking more. I've actually lost 6 pounds. It's great. So far so good.
And it just gives you a chance for those creative juices to marinate and just keep working. And I know that's always happening with you.
Well, and more so now, because normally you're at work and you're bombarded with information. Now I'm not so much. And so, yes, I've been doing lots of writing, lots of documenting, and lots of kind of master planning. So that's been going on behind the scenes just to keep my mind occupied.
Okay, I love it. Well, we so look forward to seeing you in person, to getting back into the Greensboro Science Center, to seeing those animals, giving them that human entertainment that they need.
Yes, they do need it. Yeah, and they're ready for it. We're all ready for it. We can't wait to get back.
All right. Well, thinking about you, please stay safe. And again, thanks for spending a little time with us. We'll be sure to check you out on Facebook and online to find out all the great things going on at the Greensboro Science Center.
All right. We miss you, everybody.
Thanks, Glenn.
Bye.